If you want to learn how to mix ad-libs like these,
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
then this video is for you. So I feel like there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube on how to mix lead vocals, but I feel like a thing that's overlooked a lot of the time is how to mix background vocals or ad-libs. So that's what we're gonna get into in this video. So let's go. Okay, so here's a song that I made. I finished most of the chorus in the lead vocals, but when I listened to it, I realized it needed ad-libs. There's a lot of pauses and silences in the chorus, as you can hear.
Oh, I don't remember the day you ran out of love for me. I never made it a plan. It's so hard when I cry. When I cry for you, when I cry for you, I can't remember that cold December.
So as you can hear, after each phrase I sing, there's a pause, and I just wanted to fill that out with some ad-libs. So before we record those, we have to mix the ad-libs. So I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. I'm using FL Studio, but these principles will work in any other DAW. Okay, so the first thing I do is I create a whole separate track for the ad-libs right here. Here's the recording track, and then I'm going to make an effects track right here, and then just route the recording track to the effects. So the effects track is where most of the mixing and EQing and stuff like that is going to go down. So the very first thing I'm going to put on is an EQ. So while this EQ is still going to be subtractive like a lead vocal mix, we're going to be taking out a lot more than we would in a lead vocal. Now, while some plugins like this Fruity Parametric EQ2 have presets like this one, Old Telephone, that would be decent for ad-libs, I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. So what we're going to be doing is taking out a lot of the lows and the highs to create a distant and far away sound. So on the lowest EQ knob right here, what I'm going to do is create what's called a high pass, and that's just taking out a lot of the lows. Probably until almost 500 hertz is what I'm going to be taking out. Then on the high band, I'm just going to play the vocal in the background and mess with this until it sounds pretty good.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore. Things I thought, but
So as you can see, around 1.5K, I did a little boost right here. This will just make the ad-libs a little bit clearer, and personally, I just like the way it sounds.
things I thought, but it's okay.
Okay, so I actually forgot to add the auto-tune on here. For this, all you're going to want to do is just know the key of your song and put that in your auto-tune plugin, and then you'll be good. Okay, now back to the EQ. I think this sounds pretty good right now.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
For finishing touches, all I'm going to do is sweep through some of the frequencies and find ones that I don't like and just subtract them out.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
So right here with this yellow knob, you can hear this boxiness right here.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
And so I'm just going to take that out.
I thought, but it's okay.
So that sounds pretty good. The next thing we're going to do is compress the vocals. This is pretty similar to the compression of a lead vocal. All I'm going to do is turn the ratio to about 3:1 and then play with the threshold until it starts to affect the vocal.
Okay. I don't wanna
So if I do it that much, that is way too much compression. So we got to find that sweet spot.
I thought,
Now these vocals being pretty quiet, it doesn't need a ton of compression. Just something to level out the vocals a little bit. So right here about negative 17.5 decibels will be good for me. And then I'm just going to turn up the gain just a little bit to account for the volume that we lost when compressing it. And then attack and release relatively low, just so it doesn't hold on to the vocal for too long.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
So that sounds pretty good. Okay, the next thing we're going to add, and this is just to clean up the ad-libs a little bit, is a limiter and a deesser. So right here, all the limiter is going to do is just going to cut out all the background and low noise that you don't want in the background of your vocals. So all I'm going to do is create a noise gate.
I don't wanna make it seem like
Now for the ad-libs, you do have to be careful not to make the threshold too high because the vocals are quieter. So some of them might get cut out. So just be aware of that.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
So as you can see right here, my threshold is very low. Now to add the deesser. So right here, I got this plugin called Maximus. All I'm going to do is go to this preset deesser narrowband. Now all this plugin is going to do is really take away those really harsh high S's, T's, and P's and just turn them down in the mix just so they aren't as prominent.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
Now for the ad-libs, again, they are pretty quiet, so it doesn't need a ton of de-essing. Also, I don't want to lose that clarity I added when I boosted here around 1.5K, so I'm not going to turn this down too much.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
So that sounds pretty good. Now I'm just going to add one less EQ just to balance the whole vocal out.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
So I'm hearing this frequency right here that I don't like. I'm just going to turn that down.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
I think I do want a little bit more low end, so I'm going to boost a little bit around 500 hertz right here.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore. I don't wanna make it seem like I don't wanna make it seem
I'm also going to take out some of this S right here in the high end and maybe boost the highs just a little bit.
like I don't want you anymore.
So in these final stages of EQing, it really comes down to preference of what you like your ad-libs to sound like, but this is just how I do mine, so you can copy mine or do your own. Either way works. So after that final EQ, now we can move on to effects like reverb and delay. So now I'm going to create another separate track for reverb. And what I'm going to do is add my reverb plugin onto this bus right here. So all I'm going to do is turn the wet all the way up, as I like my ad-libs very ambient sounding, and I like when they sound like they're super far away. It just gives a separation between the lead vocal and the ad-libs in my opinion. So next I'm going to turn the decay up a little bit. This will just make the reverb last for longer, and the size of the reverb I'm going to turn up a little bit. This will just make the reverb sound like it's in a bigger room, I guess. So now I'm going to route my main mixing track to the reverb track, and this is what it sounds like. So that's a little bit too much reverb for me, so right here I can just use this little slider to turn it down and mix it into however much I want. I'm going to play it with the other vocal just to make sure it sounds good.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore. I ain't sure the things I thought, but it's...
So after playing it with the lead vocal, I'm realizing that my ad-libs are a little bit too quiet. So what you can do to fix this is create a parallel compression bus. So I'll show you how I do that. So just create another track right here. All you're going to do is add your same compressor to it, and you're going to really crush the vocal. So I'm going to turn the threshold down about halfway, the ratio pretty high, and then all you're going to do is turn the gain super high up. So I'm going to do probably plus 10 dB right here. So what this will do is when you route your main mixing track to this bus right here, it'll double the vocal and allow you to make your vocals louder. So without the parallel compression bus, it sounds like this.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you.
And with, it sounds like this.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore. I ain't sure the things I thought, but it's okay.
So as you can hear, the ad-libs are way more prominent in the mix, and I like that you can still hear them in the background and they're not being drowned out by the lead vocal. Also, another thing you can do is on that bus track, you can add a vocal enhancer. I usually only do this for my lead vocals, but for this song, I think since it's more of like an electronic vibe, I'm just going to do this for the ad-libs as well. So what this will do is just make the ad-libs sound more crispy and just bring them out in the mix more.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
So just that parallel compression took my ad-libs from this
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
to this.
I don't wanna make it seem like I don't want you anymore.
So the vocals are more enhanced and louder in the mix, and for this specific song, I just like the way it sounds. But again, mixing really comes down to preference and what you like to listen to, so you can mix them however you want. So now going back to the chorus, like I said before, there's a lot of pauses and silences in the chorus that I want to fill out with ad-libs. So I'm going to record that, and I'll show you what it sounds like. So after adding ad-libs to the chorus, this is what it sounds like.
Oh, I don't remember the day when I don't love for me. I never made it a play. It's so hard when I cry. When I cry for you. When I cry for you. I can't remember that cold December.
The chorus is a lot more filled out, and I'm much more happy with it. So yeah, that's the complete mix. If this video helped you out, please leave a like. Also, drop your artist name in the comments, as I want to hear what you guys come up with. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, I don't remember